What is the last thing that God told you to do that you have not done? How can we take control, take back the reins of the things that God has told us to do? By the end of this series, you're going to be a different person. I hope that you guys are ready to glow. This is a safe space. This is a space for women. This is a space for moms. This is a space for wives. This is a space for young women. This is a space for teenage women. This is a space for the entrepreneur. This is a space for us to have candid and real conversations. What is the thing that you have done, but you have not released? What is the scared thing? What is the thing that you want to try, that you know to do, that you have not done? One of the things that I heard while I was preparing was, some of us are not stuck. We're just delaying. We're just stalling. A lot of times we get around people and we say, oh yeah, I'm just waiting on God. I'm waiting for the proper timing. I'm waiting on this and that. And that's stalling. A lot of times it's stalling. A lot of times it's delaying. And what happens is we have to be honest about the limiting beliefs that we set on ourselves and the things that we spiritualize that are not spiritual. Because a lot of times God will give us authority. He will give us the answers. He will give us the plan. He will give us the strategy. And then we say, oh, I'm waiting on timing. I'm waiting on this or that. I'm waiting on finances. I'm waiting on funding. The bottom line is that if there was not something that you could do right now in order to reach your goal, He would not have given it to you. Now, everybody's something looks different. Some people are called to collaborate. Some people are called to go ahead and build. Some people are called to step out on faith in a different area. But there is something that we can be doing right now. So let's talk about some reasons why we're actually really stuck. So a lot of us are going through the fear of failing publicly. That's a huge one because a lot of us don't understand how our fear of how we are seen is holding us back and stalling us from what God is called to. I can attest for that. I was the person before that had a lot of ideas. I wanted to take my ideas. I wanted to run with my ideas. And some of them worked and some of them didn't work, which is totally fine. What happens is that if you don't deal with the failure or the letdowns of those ideas, because I don't believe anything is a failure, the letdown of those ideas not working out, you start to build up this resentment towards releasing things. It's the thoughts of, oh, people have seen me do something before. People have seen me launch many things. People have seen this and that. And the thing about it is, who cares what people have seen? And I think a lot of us are stuck there. We're stuck at being worried about what others think. We're stuck at being worried about what others have done. Well, my content doesn't match this. I don't have this much money. I don't have the cameras. I don't have this. And the thing about it is that if you keep taking tally of what you don't have, you'll never reach any of your goals. What do you have? What do you have? And I get checked about this every single day. I was just in a Bible study with an amazing woman of God the other day, and I was asking her, I'm like, well, how do you shoot your content? Because your content is fire. She said to me, I shoot it on my phone. I said, there's no way, like you shoot it on your phone. She said, yeah, you do. Yeah, I do. And she said, you have a better phone than me. Imagine me, I have an iPhone 17. She said, I have a better phone than her, and she shoots the content on her phone. The thing about it is that if we keep keeping tally of what we don't have, then we will never reach any of the goals that we're supposed to reach. The hidden thing that a lot of us don't want to talk about is that we don't feel good enough. We don't feel good enough. We never told ourselves anything good. We never have ever thought that we were worth anything. We just have these ideas. And what happens is, in that time that we have these ideas and we don't think we're good enough, we start to hide behind things. We start to hide behind helping others. We start to hide behind pushing other people's visions and goals. And at the end of the day, we look up and there's no progress on what God has told us to do. And so we have to get over the fear of failing publicly. We have to get over the fear of meeting a criteria or a template for social media. And the funny thing about it is, I was laughing with a friend the other day, and they were talking about the Pepsi something something baby is good and like that little I think it was a Pepsi commercial or whatever that the lady went viral for. And I made a joke because she literally took that video on her phone. There was not a whole lot of makeup, lighting, anything. Went viral and got paid, and they used her little clip or whatever in the actual commercial. And I was laughing because I'm like, I'm over here trying to record at a studio and all the things or whatever, but it's just like authenticity is what is making it. And I'm not saying authenticity from a place where you're not willing to transform. I'm saying authenticity from a place of, this is where I am right now, and I'm going to give you the best of what I got. And some of us have to realize that the best of what you got right now is the best. What you got right now is the best. You don't have to go out here and try to obtain a level that you're not at. You don't have to go out here and try to be something that you're not, because what happens is you're going to end up in a stalled place because it's not authentic. Okay. Fear of being seen. It's just what I was talking about. A fear of being seen. A fear of being seen in a vulnerable state. A fear of being seen in a transparent state. The thing that most people have to understand is that if I say that I'm called, if I say that God is pushing me to do something, if I say that I am a child of God, I have to be willing to die to what I think about myself, how I want to show up, and how I feel, because I know that if I just show up and I'm just obedient to what God has called me to do, that it's answering a prayer for somebody, it's helping for somebody to get saved, it's planting a seed in somebody's life, and that's the only thing that matters. The only desire or concern that I should have is that lives are changed and that souls are saved. And whatever God decides to add on the way to that is great. But the problem is that a lot of times God is not elevating us because our thought process is misplaced. Our desires, our alignment is misplaced. We're so focused on having enough cameras, so focused on being seen, so focused on what other people think, so focused on if we're posting at the right time. Instead of being focused on the fact of, if I do this, if I do what God has called me to do, then somebody's life will be changed. I will plant a seed in somebody's life. And that is what is going to move us out of that stalled and stale place. So let's talk about past hurt and disappointment, because that's a huge thing. I think a lot of us have tried to launch something, and we launched it and it went well for a while, but then it started going bad. Or we had a business and it didn't work out. Or we launched something, we went viral, and then we went viral from a bad place. Or we tried to do a conference and nobody showed up. Or we tried to do a Bible study and nobody showed up. And what happens is it builds up disappointment. And that's something that we have to surrender. We have to surrender. My pastor says all the time, well, my pastor said that we don't really know the measure of success. God can literally tell you to do something, it affects one person, and then he can tell you to move on to something else. But because we're looking for a lot of people to show up, or a lot of people to buy the product, or a lot of people to whatever, we think that it was a failure. No, a lesson is never a fail. And we have to stop measuring our own success. Of course, we want things to do numbers. Of course, we want things to grow. But we have to ask God, what does success look like for what you have told me to do? Comparison. Comparison is the thief. I know you guys have heard people say comparison is the thief of joy. And I'm going to transparently say that this has been an area for me. As somebody who I have a lot of different niches. I have the ability to do like graphic design if I need to. I have the ability to do a whole lot of different things. And my war with myself always is, is my stuff good enough? Is it up to market? Does it look like this? Does it look like that? And it steals the opportunity to just be authentic in the way that God organically gave me the idea. This is so transparent right now. A lot of times, because my creative mind is so bright and so pattern-like, when I think of things, when I envision things and products and marketing, I envision it from a place of like rainbows and patterns and colorful and yellow and pink. And you know what I'm saying? That's how my brain works. The reason I say that is because a lot of what you'll see in the market right now is people have moved to this kind of like nude, monochromatic, mature, professional, sleek, clean slate vibe. And I had to tell myself of like, that is not you. You can't get rid of the orange. That is your thing. You can't get rid of the patterns. That is your thing. You cannot get rid of who you are just because of what the market is. It's okay to fine tune. It's okay to rebrand. It's okay to make things a little more professional, but it's not okay to completely change who you are because you want to live up to another person's standard. You're comparing yourself to what's on the market. It's not going to work. You have to be who you are, and you have to do it the way God has shown you to do it. And then the last one is for the people that want everything perfect. You're being deceived. Perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist. And really, sometimes it can be a place of pride because you're waiting. You're waiting until something looks the way that you want it to look in order to release it. And while you think you're at home planning and you've got all these documents and you've got all these different things and you've got spreadsheets, you've got ideas, you've got it all worked out. Your Canva's going crazy. And guess what? You're not moving. You're not making any progress. You're just at home doing nothing. Let's talk about how to get unstalled. So the first thing is you have to be honest with yourself about what your reasoning is for being stuck. What is my problem? I can transparently say my problem with being stuck is that I try to compare myself to what's on the market. My problem with being stuck always boils down to I want my stuff to look a certain way. And I've had to release that. I've had to get over it. I've had to just start doing what the Lord told me to do. My other problem with being stuck is I have had to surrender my fear of being seen. And it dates back. Everything that you're dealing with right now, it always dates back, and there's a root that you have to pull up. Because I've always had a fear of being seen physically. I've had a fear of being received. I've always thought differently. I'm outgoing with what I think I have to say it. I'm very outgoing. I'm always worried about how I'm being perceived. I'm always worried about how I'm being received. And that doesn't matter. Focusing in on that is not going to get us to the place that we need to get. And so what I had to do is I had to release it and then say to God, if there's an area that you want to work on me, and if there's a way that you want me to curate myself, then I have to trust that you are going to let me know that on the way. I have to trust that you are going to evolve me to that place. I cannot sit here and say, okay, I'm this way, so I'm not going to move. I'm going to stick in this place. No, we have to trust that God is going to evolve us to the place that he wants us to be. So we have to be honest. What are you avoiding because it scares you? Why do you think that you're at the place you're at? And a lot of us are lazy. Can we just be honest? Can we be honest that a lot of us are lazy? Our lives are going the way we want them to go. our lives are, I have enough money. I'm fine with how it is. I'm scared. So because my life is going the way that it needs to go, it's fine. I truly believe that it's time for us to stop needing to have trajectoral things happen in our lives to push us to what we need to do. Why can't we just raise to another standard and decide that we are going to go after the things that God has called us to do, instead of waiting for a tragedy to happen, for it to click in our brain of like, oh, it's actually time for me to do what I'm supposed to do. It's actually time for me to do purpose, or, oh, I actually don't have a choice right now but to do what God called me to do. No, why do we need to have like big things happen in our lives? Trajectoral things happen. I lose my job. Oh, so I guess now it's time for me to go be an entrepreneur. No, why couldn't you? Why couldn't you just do what God was telling you to do in the first place? We have to stop over spiritualizing delay. Everything is not timing. Sometimes it's just fear. Because sometimes we like to do that. We like to say, oh, I'm waiting on the timing of the Lord. And then 5 years later, we're still waiting on the timing of the Lord. And I'm not saying that you don't pace yourself, but what I am saying is that we cannot be waiting for 10 years on the timing of the Lord. We have to do some things by faith. That's what faith is for. It's a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You don't have any evidence that you've made any moves or any steps towards what God has called you to do. You can't be waiting on the time of the Lord without any evidence of by faith that you're doing anything. Number 3 of a way that you can get unstalled. Take one bold step. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. Take one bold step. I'm not asking you to take 10 steps. I'm not asking you to quit your job. Please don't quit your job. I'm not asking you to do anything unreasonable. I'm just saying take one bold step. Make a move. A lot of times when we make a move, it starts to encourage us to make other moves and encourage us to make more moves. And then by the time you know it, you will be in a completely different realm, in a completely different state, where your small moves are making their own small moves. And those small moves are creating their own ecosystem of small moves. And then by the time you look up, you've got a whole thing. You're in a totally different place. It just takes one bold step. It takes for you to say, okay, God, I'm just going to move. And the last thing is move before you feel ready. Feelings don't get you anywhere. Our feelings don't produce anything. Our feelings don't produce our purpose. Our feelings don't produce movement. And I think a lot of us are stuck in our feelings a lot of the time. We don't want to do anything that takes any work. We don't want to do anything that makes us vulnerable. We don't want to do anything that triggers us. In order for us to get to that place, we have to go beyond that. I challenge us to just get real with ourselves about why we're stalling. We are called women of Christ. We use excuses of like being moms, being wife, all of the things. We show up for all of these other areas and we hide in these areas. We hide there and we die in these areas sometimes. We die to the things that God has called us to do. I'm not saying that being a mom and being a wife is not intentional and it's not a beautiful thing. It is, but there's still purpose beyond that purpose. There's still calling beyond that calling. And so the last thing is I want to talk to the people who don't feel like they're worth it. I want to let you know that your worth is not measured by your belief. Your belief system cannot accurately categorize or even add up or sum up to your worth. Your mind does not have the capacity to articulate your value. I say that is because that's what the word says. The reason why we are unable to define our own value, why he doesn't allow us to define our own value, while the Lord doesn't allow us to categorize our own self, he doesn't allow us to name ourselves, to tell us our worth, to tell us our own value, is because we don't have the language for our value. We don't have the language for our worth. We make mistakes and we sin. And then after that, we count ourselves unworthy. And that is a plan of the enemy. Because if there was not a plan for you after your sin, Jesus would have never died for you. Why would Jesus die for somebody that he didn't have a plan for? And if you're in that place where you feel as though I've done wrong, I don't know if there's anything else that God wants from me. I don't know if I'm called to anything else. I'm in this area of sin. I'm in this place where I've just gone far from the Lord or whatever. I challenge you to remember and understand that there is still connection between you and God. That God is not going to give up on you. He never has given up on you. Even though you don't see that there's a plan for your life, there is one. Even though you can't articulate what's happening in your life, he knows. Even though you feel like you're far from him, he's waiting. Don't allow the enemy to sit you in a corner. Don't allow the enemy to sit you out of the game because you made a mistake. You're still called. I want to know what you guys are taking the next step on to do in this season. You can put it in the comments, you can DM us, but I want myself and Empowered to Glow to be your partner in this. If you felt like that today's episode was for you, please let us know. DM us, comment, follow us, like, share, because I know that you're not the only one that needs this message. We will be back. I don't know when. We drop in episodes whenever we drop them. Check back, do the notification bell, because we'll see you next time. Bye.